So I was a person that was really, at the beginning, really insecure because I thought, those big people who are already in the startup scene and entrepreneurs themselves get into the program, which wasn't the case for me at all. So I was someone that was just curious about a topic and about learning more, and especially about the American culture and entrepreneurship scene, startup scene. So I would consider myself a total newbie. So to all of you out there, I got you. What I did, I studied corporate communications in Vienna at the FH Wien der WKW. Did my bachelor's there. I am doing my bachelor's now at the University of Vienna, transcultural communications. And besides that, I'm working a lot in the sports industry at sport events. So that's where I'm currently now, traveling a lot around the world. And I'm actually applying to a new program. It's from the International Olympic Committee. I don't know if you can hear my cousin in the background. She's 1.5 years old. So that's if you hear in the background. And so I'm applying for the IOC Young Leaders Program, which is also a program where you design your own project, also like a startup. And I think without the 3DS program, I wouldn't have applied to this program now, because I wouldn't have gotten the confidence or the knowledge without the A2A program. So I think that was a big, big help for me to apply there now.
Thank you, Angela. Mumi?
Yes, so I was at the time a law student. I'm still a law student at the University of Vienna. And for me, my motivation to apply came from, like, during the pandemic, especially during the lockdowns, I really started gaining interest into entrepreneurship. And when I saw the program, I was like really, really excited. And what really inspired me as well was the Fireside chat, as Angela mentioned. So sorry, someone is printing something. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. But yeah, that's something that really, really encouraged me. I thought it was really inspiring to hear alumni and also hear that many of them joined the program years ago, but they're still in touch, and there's still like this community. That's something that I thought was really, really great. So it was not just like a one-time thing, but it was actually like you would actually join a network, and that was something I was looking forward to. Right now I'm in New York City. I'm doing an internship at Austria's permanent mission to the UN, and I feel like going to Austin really, really helped me network with people and approach people, also people that I don't know or didn't know before. So that's been very, very beneficial here in New York City, because I feel like networking and approaching strangers is a really, really big part of the culture, because everyone is just from somewhere. And I felt like A2A was actually a really good boot camp in that sense. So yeah.
Thank you, Mumi. Okay, Florian, let's see if we can hear you a little better this time.
I hope it's working now. Can you hear me better?
Much better.
Yeah, I'm really honored to be here this evening with you all. It is the greatest experience of my life till now. And how did I get the first insights about A2A? It was, I think I was one of the last ones which would be or send the application into A2A. I've gotten a last minute newsletter from my university at this time, and at this time I was working on a startup with a friend, which I'm currently working on now. And I thought, oh my God, this totally combines my academic research and my academic interest with my personal business related startup interest. And at the first I thought I will never have this chance to come or to go to Austin to get a place in this program, because it sounded for me it sounded too good. But I really invested some time in the application, and I would recommend you the same, to invest some time in the application, because it's really paying off. And after the first interview, I really wanted to go into this program. I think it is the best program you can do in Austria for startup interested persons. My background, I studied at this time business administration in Graz, and now I'm studying management and technology with my master in Munich. And besides, I have a small company in the brokerage of raw materials, and I'm doing the same startup as in January last year with a friend of mine in the field of wood and resources, platform economy. And I think that the program changed my mind in the field of doing a startup. The Americans or the US people are more straightforward. They have this feeling to try something, not to think so often about it, and they are pushing you to make your ideas happen. And I think that was one of the best things which I have feel somewhere on. I really would recommend you to apply to A2A.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to hear, of course we knew where you were when you applied, we read your applications. You all come from such different backgrounds, which is a big bonus to this program, is that this program does not specifically or exclusively seek economics or business majors. We are seeking people from all backgrounds because you all bring a different experience to the table. And I think it really shows in, how much you learn from other people. But it's so exciting to know where you all are right now, almost 6 months later. So thank you so much for sharing. This next set of questions are really just an open dialogue. Whoever wants to respond first, go for it, unmute. You've already, kind of said a little bit how this experience impacted you, but can you share more specifically about your time when you were in Austin? Of course, this year will be in Boston, so it won't be so hot, it won't be so humid. Everyone's going to be okay. But can you share some more about your experience in the program itself?
I can go first, maybe. So I really liked the first couple days where we actually had to start, really come up with an idea. So we were assigned to different teams beforehand. And that's something that I really, really liked as well, because there was like a pre-exchange program as well before we even met in Austin. So although many of us haven't met each other before we met in Austin, we already kind of knew each other. We had a WhatsApp group, and the first couple of days was basically about us coming up with an idea and creating our own startup and then pitching it as well at the end. And I thought that was a really, really great experience, especially for myself, because I don't have a business background. And it was a really good way for me to get acquainted with some of the terms as well. We got like a really, really good introduction into what the necessary steps are that you take from coming up with an idea to developing it, and also going out and presenting it to potential consumers, potential customers. I thought that was really, really great because we actually had to go out and walk through Austin and ask people what they thought about our startup idea. And it was really insightful because sometimes you can get really lost in your idea and you're working on it and trying to perfect it. And then you realize, oh, there's actually not really a need for it, but what people really need is something completely different. And I thought that was really cool. And I felt like Austin was offered a great environment because people are just naturally very open. So it didn't even feel like awkward to approach people. People were very willing to sacrifice 5 minutes of their time and answer your questions. And it was a lot of fun. So that's something that I really remember positively.
What I can say is what Sophia already mentioned is because there's a mix of so many individual people who come from different backgrounds, is that you learn also from the people. So I had a lot of talks with people that already had a startup, and just talking to them how they did it was a huge inspiration for me. So I think that was a big bonus, learning from the people actually there in the program, how they did it, what are their struggles that they're facing right now. Another thing would be just the terms that I learned. Like I said, I was a complete newbie, so I learned about everything. Everything was new to me. For example, the SDGs, a lean canvas for a startup, venture capitals, and a lot of that is what I need right now for my application right now for the different programs. So there was a huge bonus for me just having so much input, what I personally didn't learn at university. So that was also something that I benefited from greatly. And also the open-mindedness. I mean, the Americans, I love it. They're so open. It's so different from Austria, in my opinion. So you could talk with people, just small talks. They would share so many tips and their insights. So I think I enjoyed it a lot, and I miss it as well.
It's hard to follow on that. I hope you can hear me, but yeah. I think it's all about the people. It's about the people which you meet at a special time. And I think if you want to ramp up or start up your venture, you have to meet the right people at the right time. And Austin, at my opinion, was one of the best options for that, because you, as Angela said, we met so many different people. Like we met Macy, he's an entrepreneur and he's living in Houston, and we met him afterwards. So we were traveling traveled to Houston and met him there and talked to him, and so we're really connected. And he's sending me some messages how it's going in Austria, and I'm asking him how it's going in Houston. So yeah, you have a intercultural exchange between these two countries, and I always loved the US, and I love it more as as before, I think. And so for people like me, I don't come from a urban area in Austria, more from a rural place, from the south, Carinthia, and it's so a big difference to go to the country of the big cities and get their way of life. And you all know the US way of life is different, but I think it's a great way to live and a great way to do ventures, to do startups, and to make yourself confident in what you're doing. And I think that Austin was the best place for it, but I also think that Boston is maybe for me the second best place, but for you it will be the best place. And yeah, I think I only had good experiences. So there was no day, there was no activity which we have done where I really thought, oh my God, that's boring, or I don't like it. Really, there was nothing, no minute. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Of course, we spoke at the end of the program, and you're off of this excitement. It's been 2 great weeks, and you leave, and you're feeling so happy. But to know that months later, you can settle back down into your life and reflect on the program and still have such a positive experience and outlook on it. So it's so encouraging to hear. Earlier, Florian, you alluded to investing in the application. It's not a quick application. We won't lie. It is 20 people will be selected out of hundreds of applicants. Aside from investing in the application itself, is there any other advice that you would give to people as they apply?
Can you just tell me if there is a video again that you have to upload? Okay, about an idea or?
Yes, essentially a very similar prompt to what you did last time, which is upload 3 minutes, an idea, or what's the problem and how would you solve it?
Okay, cool. So I think take some time for the video as well. What I think was already mentioned is when you do the application, I took days for it, maybe around 1 or 2 weeks, because I already looked through my text that I wrote, then I edited something. So I would really just let it settle, not do it on a whim and just send it in. So I would just revise it, and maybe, I don't know, I asked my mom, can you read through it? What do you think about it? Should I change something? So maybe get advice from people around you as well, and take some time for the video, because you have to consider the people from 3DS and the US Embassy, they see hundreds of videos, and think about what you could do to stand out or to stick in the mind of others. So I think that is something where you can get a big bonus in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with what Angela said. So I personally also took some time. The questions, I downloaded them or copy and pasted them onto Word, and I would always write and then go back to it and have people read over it for me as well. And also with the video, I really wanted to do it well. And initially, when you see it, it might seem a little overwhelming, because at first, I saw the program, I was like, yes, cool. Let me just shoot my shot and apply. And then I was like, okay, I filled out all like my personal data, and then I saw like, oh, okay, this is not something that you just do in 5 minutes. I'll have to take some time. And I think that might be something that might deter people, but honestly, it's really, really worth it, because I feel like in the course of working towards on your application, you actually find out a lot about yourself and what your interest actually is, because you have to question yourself. And I think it's also important that you don't just do it so that you just have something to apply, like to submit, but to actually take your time, because you will just benefit so much more from it for yourself. Like if you really consider the questions and try to really answer them as authentically as possible, and not just write what you think might sound cool or might get you in, but just be honest. I think that's what really counts, because it's not about having like the perfect background, but it's like our differences that made us all like an amazing cohort. So if people feel like, oh, I don't have like a business background or anything, many of us actually didn't have a business background, but we all had like a common interest and a common motivation. And I think it's important to focus on that. And yeah, that's, I think, a very important thing to consider in your application. And take your time. Just to emphasize again, really don't do it on a whim. The Fireside chat last year, I mentioned it before, I know, but it really, really helped me hear what other former alumni basically had to say about the program. And to get like a clearer view of what it is about. I actually watched it twice. So I'm glad it's being recorded this year again. And yeah, I think it's really, really worth it. Even when you think like, oh my God, this is so much and I'm tired, push through. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I really hope that the new applicants are thinking, stop selling it. I really want to Boston. To the application, I would say, like Mumi also mentioned, it's too important to hurry through the application. So not only the video, you have to write some text to some solution to problems or to your problem, and you have to work on that. So it's not the exam where you write down your answers and then it's gone. You need it in Boston. You need it through the pre-phase of the program. So really think about a good problem or a venture where you're working currently on, or what you would like to work on, and which is also used for your normal day, so that you don't say afterwards, if you maybe are not invited into the program, it was not worth it. So use the time you will need. I think a whole day is the minimum which you need, because you would like to write some good answers, some good solutions. And yeah, after that, if you don't have a venture, because I think this year the audience is a little bit broader than last year, really think about a person or an idea which you have discussed in the last year, and or an idea which come to your mind and you think, I really want to do it and maybe I can test it in the US. Then you can also write about the idea and try in the US to start it up. Why not? I think we've also started our venture in 3 days. So that's where the name comes from, 3-day startup. And the investors there say then, yeah, you have to do it. I think there is some potential there. You will have success. Do it. And in Austria, nobody would say it, do you? So why not start with an idea and then develop it there?
And I also think a lot of people find it really difficult to come up with a business idea. People think, okay, like I have to like Nike or I don't know, Google or something like that. But I think it's much easier if you just focus on something you're passionate about and trying to solve a problem within that. So whatever that is, because there's so many ideas that can come up that a lot of people might have not considered. So I think that's where your uniqueness would lie than trying to copy something that already exists, because I feel like many of the greatest businesses actually came from people trying to solve problems surrounding things that they were passionate about. So I think that's a good thing. Like, and it doesn't have to even, I feel like you shouldn't even necessarily focus on it being like something super lucrative or something that would make a lot of money, but really just focus on finding solutions to problems that matter to you personally. And yeah, working your way up from there. And then you can do more research. And then, yeah, I think that would be a good starting point if you're kind of lost on where to or how to start with like finding an idea, because that's something that can also be challenging at first.
Absolutely. We would agree with everything you all said. Invest your time, be your authentic self. We're not looking for applications that are the next Apple. We are just interested in the problems that you see in the world and that you are trying to solve and how you want to get there. As we know, business solutions change day after day after day, depending on what the needs are in the market, but also what problems there are and how they're being solved. So truly take some time to sit with the application. Florian alluded to the fact that the audience is more broad. In the past, this was specifically for students. This year, we are looking at applications from, yes, students, but also current entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs. There is an age limit. There are some citizenship requirements. I recommend going to the website for full eligibility details. But do not sell yourself short just because you do not have the next best thing. But certainly take your time with this application. The great thing that unfortunately y'all did not experience was we have a new application platform. So you create an account, which then lets you see the entire application. You can start your application directly on the form, save your draft, come back later. So maybe you need to sit with it, you would like someone to review it. You are welcome to do that as long as you have pressed submit by January 17th, you are good to go. So my next question for you all is, let's say somebody in here is part of the selected cohort. What advice would you give during your time in the exchange? How would you make the most of your experience?
So what we had was also meetings beforehand, so preparation meetings. So I think that was really cool. So take a lot from that, make some notes, take a block as well, take notes during the input sessions that you have during your exchange. Because now, you know, thinking back, you don't remember everything. So I think taking notes, I don't know, just some important points that you like during the sessions that you do. And also maybe do some LinkedIn stalking, I will call it like that. So check out who is in Boston. Is there some, for example, is Sophia connected to some person in Boston that you would like to meet? So do some research. What can you do in Boston? What kind of entrepreneurs are there or ventures that you are interested in? And then you can get in contact with 3DS. They're really accommodating and they will try their best to make it happen. So I think, yeah, do some research about Boston, the entrepreneur scene there. Ask the 3DS team, hey guys, I am interested in, I don't know, a specific climate technology. Do you know someone who I can connect with in Boston? So that would be advice that I would give. Do your research before going to Boston.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Research, and also while you're in Boston, I think really have like a long-term mindset. So don't just think, okay, it's just like a fun 2 weeks and that's it, but really think about like the long-term benefit that you can get out of the program. I feel like that will help you. There were some informal networking events that we had, and during one of them, I actually met a founder, Mindy, and we exchanged contacts, and I hadn't heard from her for a while, but she actually reached out to me I think in October, and they were actually they're in the testing phase for their startup, and she reached out to me and asked me if I could review some things for her, and it was really, really great. It's been really, really interesting talking to her, working with her. So if I had just thought, okay, this is just a 2-week thing, it doesn't matter, I don't need to connect with anyone, you know, like this is an opportunity that I would have probably missed. So really, really think of like the long-term gains, even though you might feel like, okay, I don't really have like a solid business, just connect with people and try to form relationships, friendships as well. And yeah, just be open-minded, and don't feel shy about asking questions, because maybe you might wonder about an acronym, but other people might as well. So not everybody knows everything. I did not know what VC stood for initially. Now I do. But yeah, just yeah, feel free and ask your questions, because that's how you will get benefit, like the greatest benefit out of the program. And don't go back and just wonder, oh, I wish I had asked about this, and I wish I knew more about that, and now it's too late. But really make the best out of your time in Boston.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me because I dropped my microphone. Yeah, I think there's the nice German Sprichwort, planning is half of life, and I think that's also right here. So when we met the first time in the pre-session, or I asked, yeah, I think I asked Jerry, or he asked if anyone is likely to do a road trip after it, and so we planned. I think we planned it there, obviously, but we tried to plan it before, and we thought about it before. And so it's a program for meeting another country, or it's a program for the friendship of two countries. And so it's a nice opportunity to also get a broad view in the country. You are there, and you can use the resources there, the people there. You can ask them, where should you go? You can travel around after that. So I think you should start also before the program to think about the activities after it. And like Angela said, if you are already interested in something, or in I don't know, in your venture, go on LinkedIn, search for it, or search for some companies. I've done my research before in headquarters, which are, I think Amazon is in Boston, I don't know, but they have a really big facility there, office space there. And yeah, you can write some employees on LinkedIn and meet with them in person in the US. I think that's a great opportunity for all of you. And yeah, and you have also the choice to send in your wishes for the activities, like we did at Sophia. She always used our wishes or preferences for planning the activities. And I really would give this tip or the behind to think about the program, what you would like to know afterwards or would enjoy there, and so you can do your research to try to get the activities done there which you really would get done.
Thank you all so much for sharing your experience and your advice. One thing that you can, when you see that sample schedule on the website, we do offer you quite a bit of free time, typically in the evenings, but also in the morning. So we do recommend you take advantage of these virtual connections. Hey, I'll be in Boston these days. I would love to meet you. it may not be an A2A sponsored event, but you are more than welcome to take your own free time to meet with people who are of interest to you and who you think could be a really great connection for you moving forward. So we always encourage that sort of independent networking. So we'd like to move on to the Q&A, but before we do, is there anything else that you would like to share with people who are considering applying?
Maybe one thing for me. Unfortunately, I have an Italian advanced course in parallel, so I have to drop out. So if there are any questions to me you would like to answer, please, yeah, ask now, because I have to leave in quite minutes. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Yes, and if anybody does have questions, we're going to have a slide at the end where you'll have an email address that you can send your questions to. If it's for any specific alumni, we can connect you to them for those questions. But thank you so much, Flo, for being on this call.
Okay, if there are no specific questions to me, I'm dropping off. Thank you and good evening and good luck at your application. Bye.
Bye, Flo.
Bye.
Angela, Mumi, any not parting words, but any last pieces of advice before we officially open the floor to questions?
I can just add another thing. What I did, for example, is, like I mentioned, LinkedIn stalking. I searched for some alumni on LinkedIn and just hit them up with questions about, hey, a specific question about the application process or any tips or advice they could give to me. And one actually answered. So if you have any questions, you can also hit me up on LinkedIn and ask away. Don't be shy. I think that's just the mindset that you go into it. Believe in yourself. Enjoy it and ask questions, because at the end of the day, you want to have to gain something from it. Just go ahead, don't be shy, and you can definitely do it.
Yeah, and I would really, again, emphasize on just do it. Really, in spite of the workload and everything, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It does pay off, even for yourself. Like the application process, like you really at the end of my application, like once I sent it out, I was like really excited about the idea that I had come up with, and it was something that I had thought about, but I never really wrote a concept paper or anything like that about it. And at the end I was like, oh wow, like this is cool. I didn't know that I had that in me. So really look at it from that angle. So not just like, okay, I'm just applying to get in. Of course, that's a big, like the main purpose, but you also gain a lot from asking yourself questions and working through the different essay questions and things like that. And as Angela said, don't be shy. Really make the best out of your time in Boston once you get in. And also try and be open-minded, even within your cohort. I feel like it's a great community. Even afterwards, we just recently had like a summit, the A2A summit with alumni from previous sessions, and it was really, really great to also talk to them and see where they are. So it's just an amazing network to be a part of, and just really immerse yourself in it. Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for your input and your insights into this program. I'd officially like to open up the floor to some of our audience. You are welcome to ask your questions here, either to 3DS or to the alumni themselves. You're welcome to come off mute or ask in the chat. We have about 15 minutes here, so we have some time. Now is the time for your questions.
Hello, hi, I'm Sabrina. And if it is all right with you, I would like to start. Maybe you could dive a little bit deeper and describe how the input sessions look like. So are we going to have some guest speakers? Are we at their venture? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is truly a blend of sessions that you'll experience. Many of them are focused on workshops and some practical knowledge. You will do the same activity where you do that kind of condensed 3-day startup where you get in a team, you start with a problem, you finish with a solution, and you pitch it in just a few days. So you will have workshops, you'll have speakers and site visits from major companies. And we are, because we are in Boston, it is a hub for research institutions, specifically in the climate and sustainability space. So we really do want you to hear from the experts about not just the new technology and innovations that they're developing, but also how the city itself is working to achieve a climate zero accomplishment for their city. So it is a mix of workshops, speakers, site visits, and then we do set up some networking events for you, some mandatory, some optional, sometimes depending on expertise, and other times it's just a group of entrepreneurs. So that's essentially what you can look forward to in the program, in addition to a few cultural activities and your free time, of course, because in the end, we want you to know each other as well as the city. As our alumni have mentioned, yes, it is an entrepreneurship exchange. Yes, it is an educational exchange. We want you to come away with new insights, new learnings, new connections, but we also want to build that bridge between the US and Austria. And so we really do encourage you to get to know the city and the areas around it.
Thank you so much. That sounds really interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I see some questions in the chat. So Patrick is asking how many applicants are there? Generally, there can be anywhere from 200 to 300 applications. There is no fixed number and there is no limit. So, because we do select a final 20, this is why we really stress the importance of investing in your application, because we are seeing a large volume of applicants. So you do want to stand out, but you do want to be your authentic self in there, because that will shine through, no matter what you're working on or no matter what your experience is. And then I have another question. Is there a tuition fee for the program? No. This is a program of the U.S. Embassy Vienna. It is a fully sponsored program by the embassy, so that participants do not pay for their airfare, accommodation, or food while they're there. The only expenses that you can expect to accrue are essentially your fund money, any extra food or drink that you would like to purchase, any gifts, anything that you would like to do in the city outside of the allotted program schedule. And then you have the ability to travel afterwards outside of Boston. So any type of difference in fees that accrues from that plan is what you would be responsible for. But the principal program is completely paid for by the U.S. Embassy Vienna. Are there any other questions?
Yes, hello. Thank you for organizing this event today and for sharing your experiences. I just started the application project, and I would be process. And I would be interested in what you would be interested in terms of the work sample that we could upload.
Yeah, so this is a fairly broad category. This could be anything that ranges from a project that you did in school that maybe you had a large hand in, either developing the project, or maybe you are the designer for the project. So you could submit that, perhaps it's a project you've done for work. We've seen videos come through of, Angela, I believe your application had a video of, well, would you like to share more about what your sample of work was?
Mm-hmm. So what I shared was I participated in a speech contest a while ago, a couple of years ago, that had to do something with my idea, my venture idea, and I uploaded that. So it wasn't something that I particularly recorded. It was just a speech of myself. But I think it's a very broad thing. So anything that maybe you're proud of, or to be honest, if I edited a video about something, I would have uploaded that, just that they see that you can do video editing yourself. I don't know how you think about it, Sophia, but I would have just tried anything. upload any work that
Yeah.
you're proud of that you did.
Yeah, it does not have to be academic in nature. It does not have to be a large scale project that you develop. It can be truly anything that you personally have a hand in and that you're proud of. And I believe we have the option to upload PDF, PowerPoint, video, audio. Just submit a link. Maybe you developed a website or you contributed to the content of a website and you would like to display that. Any of that is perfectly valid and welcome upload for that sample of your work.
Okay, but in case it's somewhat a text or a video, it has to be in English language, right?
Ideally, we will review it at 3-day startup and we don't speak German. So if there is nothing, so if you've done something that is not in English, just provide some context to it, what we're looking at, and we can do some basic translations, but it's an essay that you've written or something like that. That might be a little harder for us to support reading through it if it's not in English.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. We have a few more minutes. Are there any more questions? Okay, so can you all see this QR code on the screen? Perfect. So this QR code takes you directly to the application itself. Like I mentioned, you can create your account, get your application started. You do not have to finish it just by virtue of clicking this link. You can also visit the website at that top right corner. That is where you're going to get even more detailed information such as eligibility, as well as if you click the video on the website, it is a more in-depth info session, more about the program, more about Boston. We encourage you to review the website in full before really diving deep into this application. Any questions you have, please email them to austria2america@state.gov. Feel free to take a picture of this, a screenshot, scan that code right away. But again, you can find all of this information on the website itself. So as long as you have 3daystartup.org/A2A, you can find all of these resources. Okay, so I'll leave this here for a few minutes. And then really just give my thanks to Angela, Marie, Flo, he's not here anymore. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience with us. We recorded it a little late, but it's okay. We got all of your conversation. So this will go on the website for anybody to review or even send to any friends or colleagues who you think might have an interest in this program and could benefit from it. So we highly encourage you all to share. And truly want to thank US Embassy Vienna for being sponsors of this program. Without this program, none of this would be possible. The embassy is really doing good work in bringing this to you all so that you can experience this without the burden of cost holding you back. So we encourage you to apply, sit with your application, make sure that you feel comfortable with it before you submit it, and we look forward to seeing it come through.